pretty good sense of which one you like the best of the group. And so I would tell him, oh, I like the richness of the sounds. I'd always start with the littlest instrument, the littlest textures. So I just love to hear first how the instrument sounds in the lower register and then in the higher tones, so that I can get a whole sense of how the instrument works, and then maybe play just a simple scale. And then the chords, it's always important to hear how that just brings the whole thing together like an entire instrument. Now, if you look at the back of this instrument, this is just a beautiful masterpiece. Some of them he made out of one-piece backs, meaning that it wasn't made by the same big piece of wood. Instead, there's half the wood here and the other half on the other side. But this,
yeah, that's number one.
This is number one,
right
right
slide
here.
up there, instrument
Yes.
number one, year 49. First instrument made by Harold Rees, and I think I told you I found a video that I had taken of him several years ago, and he was talking about this very instrument, and he said that he had crafted the whole thing at Herman Weaver's shop, and he showed it in the raw wood. It was not varnished yet. Showed it to Herman Weaver and said, you know, I'm trying to figure out the best way. This is my first violin, and trying to find the best way to do the varnish and stain and all of that. And he said that Herman just took it from him gently and went over to some stuff, mixed it up, slopped it on with a brush. He said he was so quick and confident and done, and handed it back to him. And Dad just took it and let it dry. And he said, oh my gosh, this is like, so I carved it. Herman Weaver, the great luthier in Washington, D.C., did the stain and varnish. And so that was his first instrument.
Yeah.
And he was marveling at still keeping that luster all these years later from 1949.
Well, he's kept it in a very safe place. He wouldn't allow us to play it hardly at all. I mean, this, I did get a chance to play it before, but we've got to guard these instruments very carefully because they have a provenance,
Yes.
as they say. So that was the number one, and then this little guy, I don't have number two here.
Yes, and it notes in my, I just copied this off my dad's notes, played by Jerry Wayne Rees, third son of Harold, when Jerry was 7 years old. And there are some photographs of me holding it when it seemed to fit me because I was little.
Can't find the place to put
We have to shrink you and your fingers.
I need smaller fingers.
Yes, we need to shrink you down.
Look at the sound and the beauty of that.
To me, it looks like a shrunken, normal-sized violin. He made a second small one that does look more like a small violin. This looks like a large one that's just seen in miniature.
It's just precious. I've never seen anything quite like it. Wow. So that's number 3.
And then I'll jump past some other instruments here that are not violins, violas. Just number 7 instrument he made was bluegrass mandolin. And the next one the instrument number 8 you have there. Now this, in his notes, it was a one-piece back, and it tied for 4th place in the National Violin Makers Competition in Phoenix, Arizona. And I recall back then him giving it to someone, I think it might have been Henry Meisner, who was also a luthier in the area. And he just said, Henry, can you take this to the competition? I can't make it out there this year, but I'm just curious to see how it'll do. And he came back, and with tone and craftsmanship, it tied for 4th in both those areas added up. I think in tone it was 2nd or 3rd, but overall points was tied for 4th.
And that's a big competition for luthiers. It's very important.
And it was professional and amateur. I mean, it was national. Yeah.
Listen to this. Hear many different kinds of voices from these instruments. Just how does that one speak to you? Oh, this has got to be one of my favorites. I mean, it's got such depth and such brilliance, and it's got all the tone colors mixed up together. It's very even from top to bottom. I can see why it's a prize-winning violin.
You know, as you're playing it, I mean, it's a lot of it's your touch, but I feel like the instrument is wanting to be a soloist instrument, and rather than in the orchestra, it like wants to be.
It would be nice, yeah. It would be great in the hands of my viola, my violin playing brother, who is a member of the LA Philharmonic.
Right.
We played together for 15 years in the Philharmonic, and
right.
You know, he is a true soloist. He just got back from a concert tour, played the Prokofiev violin concerto with an orchestra in Tennessee. So.
Yes, that would be delightful.
And then, did you want to talk about?
I will just jump ahead past banjo number 9, which a long neck banjo that he made for me. And there's some notes about that people can read if they come to the gallery. Really fun stuff. 100-year-old George Washington style desk that he carved into the neck and all that, so fun stuff. This was called the kettle, number 15, because he actually made it from cutting off 2 kettles from an industrial kitchen. And if you look at the side of the banjo, you can actually see the 40-20 wherever pan stamped into the side, but he just called it the kettle for that reason, and that was his instrument. And now we come to number 16, which I don't know if you have that one there. Did we pass one?
I have number 45.
Here we go. Ramiro will bring you number 16.
Thank you so much.
Sounds mellow. It's a whole different voice.
This is a larger instrument than most violins, so it's got some characteristics of the viola. And I haven't never played this one before. I don't recognize it.
Well, in his notes, it says 4/4 violin original, but it says large, and he had that written in his notes, so I copied it here. And he had purposely antiqued it. He was intrigued to have an instrument that would seem to be a couple 100 years old. So even though he was freshly made, he just gave it that antiqued feel.
this.
Which to me was
this
very
just-
much an Imagineering thing to do.
Well, a lot of modern day instrument makers do antique their instruments.
Mhm.
That's my instrument that I brought to him at one time. I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it struck his fancy too. And he snuck one over on me. He was quite the the trickster. But
great.
this instrument, wow. I think I'm gonna have to revisit this one.
Okay, all right. Maybe you can move number 1, Ramiro? Are we gonna leave number 1 out here, or?
Did you want?
Let's take number 1 away and maybe.
And number 3?
Yeah.
Maybe the little guy 3?
Yeah, take 3. Don't take that one too far away. I may want to come back to that one.
I'll keep this one.
Yeah, and this one too, I want to keep close by.
Alrighty. And then I'm jumping past another bluegrass mandolin instrument number 17.
Isn't that lovely?
Beautiful, beautiful instrument. And then another one, instrument number 40, from 1991, and also just a beautiful instrument. Now we're at 45, which I think you have. And this one, I just love this note, Lucille. It says, top plate is made of Sitka spruce from a shipment that suffered shipwreck en route from Alaska to Oregon. The rest of the body and scroll were carved by Rees from selected curly maple seasoned for quality instrument crafting. But part of that came from shipwrecked wood.
So this one I like particularly because of its brilliance on the higher register.
Mhm.
You can take this. Thanks.
And then the number 47, I'm not sure, that's another little one. I'm not sure how playable that one would be. It's
Oh.
tiny again. So
Would it be that one there?
it's the other tiny one, yes. It's right here on the corner. I can grab that just for you to see what you think.
See if I can put my fingers on this one.
It's very,
Without
very
slipping off.
minuscule.
So,
There you go.
yes, that would be a lucky young boy who could play this instrument.
Yes. Now I'll bring you another viola, which is in the consecutive order here. It's up here. I think, oh, you might already have it up.
105 is the next number.
Here we go. And we have
Whoa, it's,
62, the very unusual cutaway.
oh, but I haven't played, oh yes, I have. Yes, please.
Here you go.
Thank you. Look at this. What a shape.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to play in the high register, I would be able to put my hand way up here. And still get a pretty nice.
Beautiful. So that whole idea of cutaway is for that reach, for the high notes.
Yes.
And that's an unusual pattern. I think that he was
He came up with
experimenting
this one
that. Yeah.
himself, I'm sure, because
Yes.
I've never seen anything like it, and I've been around violas a lot. But yeah, there's even a pretty nice buckled shape here.
Mhm.
It looks like a cowboy boot to me. In a way.
Right.
So,
Well, he always had that Western flair going on. So-
yeah,
oh,
that's
then-
a lovely sound. It really is.
Now, the next one in consecutive order, I'll get that one out of your way,
thank
is
you.
actually the castle, the one with the castle painting, which is that one.
Oh, isn't that fantastic? Of course, his sons worked for Disney.
The Neuschwanstein Castle, I believe, is kind of what it's called. Yes, and it was just, you know, it was partly family roots, because Swiss German roots and everything, so, but also, yes, he resonated with the fact that I was now working for the Walt Disney Company, and we had castles all over the world, so I'm sure that was one of the things that inspired him to do the castle painting.
Let's hear what this one sounds like. Wow, what a sound.
So,
This is huge.
and he had noted that he had carved that in '94 and then added the painting in '95.
Oh,
So he definitely completed the whole thing, and then I guess thought it was a good-looking canvas to work on.
yeah, this came off the bridge, so it needs to, it's hard to play.
Okay, well I'll let you tune.
But no problem with the maker, it was how it was set up. That's a big sound.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
I
I
love
have
this
a
one.
question, I don't want to interrupt, but I've been curious, does that painting affect the sound at all on the back of the violin?
I would doubt it. I don't think, it's just like another layer of varnish or something. I doubt if it,
Ah,
Right.
that makes sense.
So
Beautiful.
it's sort of like the stain and varnish, it's almost like another stain or varnish on top of it.
but that is just gorgeous. I may need to revisit this one.
Okay, we'll leave that one out there.
There's a lot.
The next one up is number 71, which it describes it as a viola, 15.25-inch viola. And it says in the notes it was nicknamed Honey. It's a deep red-brown flame, pretty flame, nicknamed Honey. And it's Texas maple. And the top is cedar from actually Forest Home, California, where our Aunt Ivy had a place. So we got some wood from Forest Home.
Isn't that beautiful? That would be
Nice.
nice for somebody who just doesn't have as big of a hand. They can nicely reach the 15-inch instrument.
So as
Beautiful sound.
a viola, it's got a slender neck for one of that size.
It's not the neck so much as the distance from the bridge to the strings.
Okay.
So if you had a smaller hand, you could
Ah,
reach all the instrument,
oh, very
all the notes of the scale.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. The next instrument in consecutive order that is at least on file, because a lot of this stuff is just out in the world. I'm just talking about the ones that I actually have. Instrument number 76 was a cello, 3/4 size. And next one up that you can play is number 95, Pretty large.
I'm out of instruments here.
16.75 inch viola, number 95.
Let's leave this one close by.
Oh, this one has that beautiful one-piece back.
Yeah, I have my favorites. This is the first instrument that he made after I met him.
Right, and you were talking about that you came back from travels with a cutaway viola, right?
I knew I was going to be away, and so I brought my instrument in for him to repair, set up, and make it sound better. And I think I might have had a little scratch or something that needed fixing. And he took a pattern behind my back, and this is what came out of it. This instrument is patterned after the one that I had by the maker of the name of Erdős. Otto Erdős was a guy who made violas first in Washington, D.C., then he moved to New York, but he was from Hungary, and then he moved to Canada. And I met him in Canada because since I had one of his instruments, I wanted to meet the guy that made my instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so he traded me a regular viola for this shaped instrument, and because it was so much easier to play as an 18-year-old, I said, I'm gonna play this instrument. And my parents were flabbergasted, but they accepted it and liked it.
And you may not know this, but in his notes, he called it the Lucy. He said he called the style the Lucy. Yeah.
So, because when I played in the orchestra, I'd often play on his instruments, and so he really got into that idea that he could go to the orchestra and hear it.
Yep.
And this one, I can play with confidence because it feels like I came home.
And can you show him the one-piece back there? I just love
I love the way he made this.
Yeah, that one just feels like an extra work of art somehow.
It is. And he even made the ridges in this instrument. You can rub your fingers over it, and you can feel each one of the places where the wood has the rings.
It's almost like relief grain.
The age.
Extra
Yeah,
relief
it's in
somehow.
relief. Yeah. He must have dug each one out just a little bit and then varnished the whole thing. Yeah, it's just, I should be really using a viola bow because I think I
Do you want me to grab that?
I could get even more sound out of a viola bow. We're coming up on 100. I've got it at 100. Have we passed 100 yet?
We're at 95.
What's the difference between a viola bow and a violin bow?
A viola bow has a little more hip weight, and it's also bigger in the hand. The frog is slightly larger, and it's usually a little bit longer. Maybe not too much longer than the violin. It would help to be a little bit tighter as well.
And it was just, for people that might not be aware of it, the cutaway was so that they could reach the high notes that would be hard to do if it was symmetrical shape.
Kind of like guitars or double basses, makes perfect sense to me.
All right. Beautiful instrument. The next one up is the one that has the unusual shape. It's number 105. And oh, it's there on the table.
Which one
I
is
believe.
mine? Oh yeah, mine is 138.
Yes, we're coming up on that. Now, when we were in the shop, you mentioned that he was probably thinking of my mom when he made that?
I imagine. Doesn't it look like a woman? He was definitely in love with his wife. He only let a few of us see the back room where he had all his poster pictures.
Of Ramona, yes.
But they were all of his wife, so it was okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that
But isn't that?
that
yeah.
was in the year 2000, so he was 80 when he made that. So, now we're at this part. I have a little video to play for you, Lucy, and the rest
Sure.
of folks. This was number 116 that he painted the shop on. So I happened to find recently, I just had transferred an old videotape digitally. That is the day that he gave it to me. So here's like a minute and a half of just home videos, and you can see when he gave me the violin.
There's proof that we were actually in the same place at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
See there?
Oh, yes.
Me and my mom.
Yes.
And my dad and my brother all together.
Yeah.
And there's my wife and my kids.
Yeah.
These balloons indicate what?
Your anniversary.
Oh, that's right.
Larry and Rebecca's anniversary.
And?
Harold Reese's 82nd birthday.
That's right.
Oh, we don't have one quite that big. My size. Oh, did that work?
Is there a spot to put it? Sure. Thank you. Look at this is the luthier who made this incredible instrument. Harold Sullivan Rees. That has a
I've never heard
bright
of
sound.
You can play.
That has a bright sound.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
so
Bob was saying. That's what I don't know.
cuts through.
Yeah, I would like to hear it. It sounds like it's pretty bright. All I can hear is when Mom takes it.
Well,
That's the way I do it.
So he wished he could hear it played, and today we can. So we have that instrument here. There it comes.
Oh yes.
So yes, so his wish of hearing it played, we can hear it played today. Oh, you want to hold that one?
Oh yes. Yeah. Hold that for me.
Should be doing that next time.
That's the red one.
Oh, great, great. We can throw that
That's
in.
number 130.
Oh, great.
183. I think. Is that? Wait. 60.
Okay, well,
130.
I don't have it in my records. So I had just asked him, you know, I said, he asked if I wanted something special for our anniversary, and I said, you know, if you could paint a picture of yourself on the porch of your fiddle shop on one of your fiddles, it would be the perfect thing. So he did that, and there's pictures that we have on display of him painting it after he had made it, and so I've treasured it, but I've always wanted to hear the voice. So Lucy, I'm looking forward to this moment.
This is for you, Mr. Reese. And Mr. Reese. special voice.
All right. Well, I've had, now when I sit and look at it, I can hear what it sounded like thanks to you, and then I can go back and play the video thanks to Tina and her team here.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that. And we have, here's cello number 129. Did a lot of carving on the back,
I love that one.
which and that's on display over here. I love that. Ian, our older son, who's a composer, is using this cello in his music now, but he's loaned it to us to have on display during the Reese's Pieces show. Now, is this past the one that you have, the redwood?
I don't think so. I think this is
What's
the
the
redwood.
number on the redwood
It's
one?
183. I'm pretty sure.
I have
You know, we
131.
can just.
138. I'm dyslexic.
We have 131 right here.
Let me see. It's hard to see in this light.
Well, you know what? Well, let's just, before we do 131, let's do yours, the redwood.
Oh, okay.
And you can tell them the story, because I'll tell you, when I was in the fiddle shop with her, and she had come out to do a news story when Dad turned 100. So ABC came out, and they filmed a very nice special. Lucy came and was interviewed and played instruments for them. And at that time, there was unfinished business where he had said to her, you know, you can take a look around at my violins and pick one. And you know, I remember you had that sidebar conversation where he was being interviewed by the news crew, and you said, while they're talking to you, can I go look in your cabinet at some of your violins and see, you know, which one appeals to me? So you did, and you looked around, but then when you left, you said, well, I was still considering, I didn't make up my mind, and you and Dad realized it was just kind of unfinished business. So we left it at that, and then when you came by to play in the shop after his passing, I told you, I realize you have unfinished business, you're gonna do this. You're gonna pick a violin that means the most to you. And so you part of your playing that day was to find the one that spoke to you the most. And you told me a story about this instrument that I didn't know, so you can tell them now. So I was surprised that day, and they'll be surprised now.
Well, you know, he just was such an innovator, and we live here in California. This wood is exclusive to California. It's redwood. It's an actual redwood fence post. He said that he found on this some kind of antique place where it was just, you know, and somebody just gave him this wood, or he went out looking for it, I think specifically, but he found this really old piece of wood and he shaped it into a violin. And
And he called it his fence post.
he called it his fence post violin. That was its name.
So I was surprised, yes.
I don't want to
Wow.
put it down.
And you know, we were talking about creative ripples and that they can be subtle or bold, and they can be intimate or epic, and talk about an unexpected one.
Yeah.
For my dad to walk by a fence post and go, you know what, this could make music. It's like, what an unexpected creative ripple that is.
That is, yeah. I don't want this.
And I'm glad that it is in your care now.
Thank
So
you so much, Jerry.
And I think Tina is signaling that we will take a break, and then we will come
Right.
back on the air. So
Sure.
we will just do how long of a break?
However long you like, maybe 5-10 minute break, 10 minutes, 15-minute break?
Let's do a 10-minute, and then
Okay.
we'll be back with you.
All right, beautiful.
Thanks, Dave. Wow.
They each have their own voice. don't they?
That was a sweet, sweet voice.
Yeah, and Jerry's has a different voice, just as sweet, but way different. It's, you know, it's just really amazing. I think, you know, that must have been his best violin to date. Yes, put all that time into that.
Am I able to use my phone or is it still?
Yeah,